Right, welcome back ladies and gentlemen to update 4 of the T34 Stalingrad diorama. So as you can see from the third update, I've started to weather the brickwork on the diorama, which I've used. I used a couple of things. A couple of people helped me out with the choices. Neil, definitely he's a mad Welshman, I don't care what he says, but he did give me some good stuff to help me with the brickwork. What he did is he did a dry brush of white over the tops of the brick, so I did that, and I took it a step further. I did a bit of grey wash as well, sorry, grey dry brushing with Tamiya XF66, the light grey, and a bit of the XF9. So I did those. I lightly brushed them onto the brickwork and obviously toned the red down a bit. It's brought it to a better colour. So once I got all that dry brushed, then I started using some of the Vallejo pigments, the 73113, which is slate grey, and a bit of the MIG brick dust, which is, there we go, where's it gone, which is the MIG 3015. So I used those, and while I was messing around I decided to make a little drain pipe, obviously just with straw, which I had in my hand, which I had to hand. So that's going to go sort of down there. Obviously it's going to be painted and weathered, and I'm going to use some foil to make the straps, you know, the fixings, and also just why I had the washout, the brown dipping wash, I did quite a little bit of wood, so they'll be using in the debris, but obviously some of them used to be snapped and they'll be burnt and, you know, rubble all over them and things like that, so I thought I'd just do them while I was there. So that's as far as I've got with the diorama, which is coming along quite nicely. So this is the next start. I'll be finishing this off and then gradually coming down into the railway tracks and all the rubble. I'll probably spray the rubble. I'm not too sure yet. I'll have to think about what I'm going to do with the rubble first. Build that up slowly, and then obviously I've got the railway tracks, and then ultimately then the T34. But for the rear, I showed you last time, I think I've got a couple of machines that's going to go in here, represent it's been a factory, into the back of here. I'm going to paint this a different colour with all the rubble again on the end, with all sorts of bits and pieces. So there'll be a machine there, maybe a machine there, just to represent it being a factory and all the rubble around it. Colours I'm going to keep to the colour I think that's in here, but I'll weather it and make it, you know, darker and war-torn as it is. But yeah, generally speaking, it's a nice little diorama. It's going to come out really well when it's finished. I'm quite pleased with it so far. Obviously these have got to be all finished. This here, I'll get a sign of some description, and the door lintels that'll also be painted as well. But we're getting there, slowly but surely getting there. So I think we'll start going back to the T34 with a bit of scratching and chipping and things like that. I think that's what we'll do next. So we'll be back very shortly with that. That was Greg signing off, and we'll see you very, very soon. Thank you. Right, sorry about that, I didn't pause it, did I? Never mind. Yeah, so as we were saying, I've got a bit of packing sponge as normal with the thing, so I'll just, that's how I had it. And instead of just doing the normal black or brown or white or whatever you want to call it for your scratching, I'm going to start off with something that's the let's just sort of highlights these highlight ones. I think I'm going to use, like I say, with the modulation that I used to start with, I'm going to use this as the highlight one. We are from Mr. Colour, which is CMC11 from that set that I did the modulation with. And I say I'm just going to do the same, give it a good shake. I'll just try a little bit first. I think it might be a bit light, but we'll soon see. Okay. Yeah, I think that should be fine. So just do what you normally do in here. Just get your sponge, dip it in your paint, just take all the excess off it. I think I'll just start off by doing a bit on the fuel drums. Not a lot, just around the edges of the fuel drums. So the paint might not pick it up with it being green on green. But obviously I'm mainly going along the edges anyhow. Just you probably won't be able to see it at the moment. You can see it slightly on the I'll do a little bit on the top of that. Again on the engine deck itself, where the crew have walked, and there's inevitable scratches from everything really, isn't it? Not just from the crew, from the elements. And let's just get a bit more. Take the excess off again. It's a good time. It's a good time just to change things around a bit and make the sponge a different shape, so you're not getting identical. You're not getting it identical all the time. So just too much on that bit there. I'll take it off with a bit of thing later on, not to worry. So it's mainly around the edges where chips are going to occur, and a bit round the edge. Yeah, I'm going to change the sponge now. I think there's a bit of sponge that I kept. Yeah. Just take some little bits out of it again, like you normally do. Just get a bit of paint on there again. Take the excess off. Again around the back. The sponge is coming out the just around the edges again. The problem's with the sponge today, it won't seem to sit in its place where I placed it. So along the edges again. edge again. Let's go back to the other piece of sponge now. Just on the edges again. Just a few in the so I'll carry on with this, and when I've done this I shall get back to you. Okie dokie, see you soon. Right, welcome back. I've jumped ahead a bit. I'll just show you the turret, what I've done with it after I start with the highlight of the green. I've now gone along some of the scratches with the track wash that I used to use with the, it's basically NATO brown, NATO black and a touch of red. I think it's Andy's Hobby Headquarters as the specific measurements, but I had a little bit left and thought, well, I may as well use it. So what I've done is with, I missed a bit there, like, useless. So what I've done is I've gone over the greens, obviously again they're like deeper scratches. I don't know if you can quite, as you can see I've gone along some of the deeper scratches. I haven't quite finished yet, but I'm getting there with it. On the barrel, up on the top, along the gun, mantlet and gun, around the sides again there, you can just see on the cupola there. Still haven't finished it yet, but I'm getting there with it, so I'll carry on with this. And I'll just do the, I'll show you what I'm doing here basically. It's just a fine pointed brush, and I'm just going to go in some of the I haven't got a lot on the brush, just enough to dab it in and shape it to the actual scratches as well. Takes quite a while to do, so that's why I've done the turret first. As you can see, you know, it looks a bit bright at the moment, but it'll all be blended in. It'll all be blended in. So as you can see from the top, where are we going? Just need to let's just bring this light down onto it a bit more. Let's see if we can see a bit better. Maybe bring this into here. Too far. There, so I'm just going to go along this edge. I've just noticed an edge that I never touched. Right, so I think I'll leave the turret for a while. I'll probably go back to it again. Alright, we'll start off the upper. So you can see all the marks and scratches that I've done with the brushes, and so what I'll do now is just go into some of them, not all of them. Just go along. Depends how far you want to go with it, of course. It just helps to blend the light green back into it again. Just see where they're at. Starting to dry up this little bit of track wash or track paint. So it looks like I'll have to pour some more out in a minute. You can't really tell until it's all dry, but it's getting there. It's getting there. So I go along the edges again where the green is. Just filling bits in, randomly done. Let's just see if I can get a bit more paint on this brush. That's better. Just the hatch cover. Okay, so let's go along the edges here. Obviously where it's going to get chipped, you know, the driver's going to be in and out of the his hatch. So let me just what I'll do is I'll carry on with this. It's no point in you sitting and watching me do this. Otherwise I'll be here all day, because it takes quite a while. I've got to go right through the the whole tank. So what I'll do now is I'll close off here. When I've got this bit done, I'll get back to you. Right, back again. I've completed all the scratches in the chips and everything else on the tunnel. Let's just zoom in. It's just a bit wet yet. Maybe can't quite. There we go. You can just see there's all the little scratches. I'll come out a little bit. Out a little bit. Focus back in. It doesn't give it justice, this camera, I must admit. But yeah, it's coming there. It's getting there. It's getting there. So what I'm going to do after I've all this is dried, I'm going to get a light rush wash and just go around some of the deeper scratches and use a bit of, you know, because it's a bit rusty. You can see on the front there's quite a few scratches there. Let me just see if I can get it into focus that way. You can't really tell with the angle of the. There we are. I can tell a bit better on there. A few scratches here and there. Nothing too much more on the front where they obviously where the driver gets in and out. Let me just see if I can. All these are going to be blended in yet as well. Don't forget this is nowhere near finished yet. The hatches and bits and pieces like that, the commander's cupola. It's all nice and dirty from getting in and out. And as you can see on there's the chips and all sorts of things on there. The subtle colours with the greens and the browns and all the different variations in colours. So once I get a little bit of rust streaks on some of these darker ones, it will blend them down a bit. Obviously the machine gun hasn't been painted on the coaxial one. Again, I could do it a little bit more on that turret bit there. It's dry, so it doesn't, you know, it dries a lot darker than this and a lot doesn't dry with as much of a sheen. There's the gun. Obviously we have some of the fuel drums. And then we come around to the rear. Yeah, there's a few scratches and marks and chips and things on the back. And on the engine deck as well. You can see the turret quite better there with all the browns and the chips. I need to scratch a couple of the decals again just to tie them in with the rest of the weathering. Fuel drum again. Few scratches again. All be blended in. But yeah, it's come along quite nicely. I'm quite happy with it at the moment. So I think we shall, let me just zoom out a bit. It's not right first time, this time it's unusual for me. So yeah, so I'm quite happy with that. And say the Dio, I'll carry on with that as well. With the Dio, the next thing will be sorting out, sort of finishing the brickwork off with a, what I have is the only Tamiya makeup kit as I call them, these ones. I've got the orange rust there and I'm going to use a bit of that sparingly on some of the brickwork just to highlight a few pieces and things like that, but not a lot. So that'll be the next thing I'm going to do. So but before I start doing that, I'll also let this dry and I'm making a light rust wash just to come off some of the deep scratches, and then we can actually start doing some pigment work and that I think after that on it. So yeah, it's come along quite nicely. So there's nothing on the lower hull, so that'll be, I might even start doing a bit of that as well. Just, I know what I'm going to do with the diorama, so I'm going to tie that into the tank obviously. So it won't be no mud as such, it'll be more dust and debris from the roads and things like that. There hasn't been too much mud about. There's been a bit, but not a lot. So I think we'll call this the end of update 4. And we'll start with update 5 when I've done the rust wash and the brickwork. So this is Greg signing off for now, and we'll catch you very soon. And thank you very much for watching, and have a nice day.